Hello, hello, hello! How are you guys doing tonight? Today, whenever you're watching this video, Happy New Year. Happy 2021. This is the first vlog of 2021. I cannot believe it. Seems surreal that I have vlogged this many years in a row. Seems crazy. I cannot believe it. How are we doing? Well, I just dropped off my husband from being over, we were over at Melissa and Jason's. I'm trying to find my lip gloss. And he is watching this music festival that was like this digital music festival that they had. It was like this Tomorrowland thing where the DJs were on like this green screen. It was really cool, honestly, where the DJs were on this green screen and then they had like superimposed like to look like there were people dancing and stuff there. And you could, I think it was like, he said it was like 25 euros to buy it, and you have it for like, you can still buy it if you guys are interested in doing it. If you're interested in it, message Alex on Instagram and he can tell you where. I have no idea where to find it, but anyway, he bought it. And but like we were sitting there and like David Guetta was playing and some other people. It was really a good music festival. But anyway, it was kind of like this thing that they did for New Year's Eve. So he had started it earlier in the evening before we went to dinner, and then we watched a little bit of it at Jason and Melissa's, and then we watched like the ball drop. I don't remember ever seeing the ball drop. I just remember them counting down. But anyway, we watched the whole thing in Times Square with like Lucy, what's her name? Lucy Hale from Pretty Little Liars, and Billy Martin from Pose, and Cyndi Lauper sang. I love Cyndi Lauper, but it was painful to listen. It was not good. And then En Vogue sang. And then that guy and that girl sang that song. That was at the very end. Well, we watched it turn New Year's in New York City, which is our time zone. And then we watched it turn New Year's in, which would be Central Time, I guess, in New Orleans with Big Frida. And this lip gloss from Wet n Wild, like, I don't mind it, but it is so, like, gloopy. It's so, like, sticky. I pretty much out of the Lunar Beauty Manny MUA lip gloss. I need to buy some more. But anyway, that song, you know, I think it's like If the World Was Ending Tonight or something. I love that song so much. Would You Come Over or whatever, like they sang that. There were a lot of like new, Noah Cyrus sang. I had never heard Noah Cyrus before. She's actually really good. So anyway, they had like a lot of musical acts singing, and we went to dinner first. We got dressed real nice. I wore like this big turtleneck sweater that I had gotten at Macy's a couple weeks ago, and Alex wore this velvet suit, and Melissa was all dressed up, and Jason was dressed real nice, and we went to Ocean Prime, and I had a wedge salad with no bacon, and Alex and Jason had Caesars. I don't remember. Melissa had a salad too, but I can't remember what she got. Maybe just a house salad. And then I got a baked potato. Well, I got a twice baked potato. And then mac and cheese on the side. And then Alex got a filet, a 10-ounce filet. I think it was 10 ounce. I don't know. I haven't eaten a steak in so long. And he got truffle fries, and we shared our sides. The mac and cheese and the fries we shared. Oh my God, their truffle fries are so good. And they had all these like plastic barriers set up around your table, so it felt like really private. It was really nice. And then Melissa had crab legs and asparagus. She got as her side. And Jason Melissa, I think, got a twice baked potato too. And Jason got a filet. I feel like he got a bigger filet than Alex. I don't know what size his filet that was though. But anyway, because he made a comment about he ordered a bigger filet than Alex, and Alex's was bigger. But his was cooked more than Alex was, because Alex got medium rare. And I think Jason got a twice baked potato too. But anyway, it was nice. We were there till like, we got there, our reservations were 7:45, and we left there about a little bit before 10. And then we came home, and I'm gonna go this way. We changed out of our outfits and put on comfy clothes. Alex bought like a cream colored pair and then a black pair of these sweats that are like fleece or Sherpa or whatever that is. They're like real comfy, and they say Dreamer on them. And they're so comfortable. But anyway, he put those on with some like sneakers, and then I just put on my other pair of jeans that I had on earlier today, and my pee-pee sweatshirt. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, little pee-pee. This was actually, I did a sponsorship for this brand, and it was like, you could have your pet's picture put on your sweatshirt. I'm so glad I did it now. I can remember at the time, I was like, this was like one of the first sponsorships I did, and I didn't know about like how much to, you know, to ask for a sponsorship or whatever. Those are things that like nobody ever tells you. And then when you ask other YouTubers, they don't really want to have that conversation with you. It's interesting about YouTubers, like this is one of the things I have found, is that YouTubers will be like kind of real friendly with you until it's like you have questions or you want help on like a business kind of thing. And then they like get quiet real quick. Like they don't want to tell you any of their secrets, you know what I mean? Even if it's just like, I don't know like how much to ask for a sponsorship or something like that. But anyway, I told these people, I was like, oh yeah, just like, I think I may have just done it for the sweatshirt, honestly. Because I just wanted the sweatshirt with pee-pee on it, and I'm so glad I have it today. And then I also have my own, my Pee-Pee the Flying Chihuahua sweatshirt. Where, or do I have a t-shirt that says that? No, I think I have a sweatshirt at home that says that too. I have so many hoodies, it's ridiculous. And then I have Birkenstock sandals on. It's supposed to, we're supposed to get, there's a weather advisory out for, can you believe it's 26 degrees outside, and there's a weather advisory for ice storm, and I'm driving around in Birkenstock sandals. I know, right? I just was so full when we got back to the house. I was like, I don't want to put the Uggs on. I just want to be like super comfortable. So, I'm trying to vlog before the ice storm hits, because if the ice storm hits, I don't want to be out driving around. I'm down to like 1/8 of a tank of gas too. I've been going through so much gas lately. Well, because I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks. So I need to stop and get gas. I'm gonna drive up here and then drive out here. And then there's a Shell station out here if I need to stop before I go to this one gas station. There's like one gas station I'm thinking about going to, but like they may be closed, so I may go to the Shell station and get gas. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. That's a stupid conversation. Why am I even talking about it? What was I gonna say? Yeah, and then we went over to Melissa and Jason's, and Melissa had, Alex brought some champagne over there for him and Jason to have, and Melissa and I just had Pepsis. And then Melissa had bought grapes because, like, one of Alex's New Year's traditions from Venezuela is that, now some people say it's 12 grapes in the last 12 seconds before the new year. Alex has done a grape a minute for 12 minutes. And then you make a wish for every grape that you eat. So we did the grapes, and we got there, and then I had to leave and go home and like grab some stuff and come back. Because I had like, you know, we had changed and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, we did the grapes, and then Melissa had got like party hats and party favors, like, you know, like the toot horns and that things that you like pull and the string goes everywhere. So we all had that. It was fun. It was whatever. And then Melissa and Jason and I were watching the show, and Alex all of a sudden just disappears, and he's like in the other room watching this music festival. And Jason was like falling asleep. He was sitting there watching the TV with his eyes closed, and I was like, Melissa was like, he's falling asleep. I was like, Melissa, if he wants to go upstairs, he can go upstairs. Melissa and I were like, oh, and so he was getting ready to go to bed, and Alex was watching this music festival in the other room, and I was like, there was like some DJ on that he really wanted to see, Maxioplex, I think. So I said, let's just go. I said, you can go home and you can watch this music festival. And then I can go vlog. It was funny because Alex said when we were on our way home, he was like, I can't believe it's like, it's 1:45 now. He was like, I can't believe it's 1:30 already. And I was like, why? And he was like, because this would be the time that we would be coming home back in the day when we used to go to these big parties here in town. I mentioned somebody's name, somebody's party. We used to go to the Ciroc parties. And then last year we were in Mexico, and we had said that we were never going to be in Indianapolis for New Year's again. Which that wasn't the case this year. And why can't I think about what I'm trying to say? We used to go to this place called the Pavilion that friends of ours own, and we would go there, and they had like this big New Year's party every year. We used to go to that. So Alex, and like we would stay till like 1 o'clock, and then we would come home because, you know, like New Year's Eve kind of things start to die. Like some of the clubs downtown would have like after hours party, but I'd be like, I'm done. Like at 1 o'clock, I'm done. Like because, you know, New Year's Eve starts early. You know, people go out to eat, and then it's very much amateur hour too. For if you're a person in recovery, like New Year's Eve is kind of amateur hour or amateur night. It's one of those nights that a lot of people that don't typically drink, and so you deal with and drink a lot. And drink a lot fast. And so it's one of those nights that you deal with a lot more drunkenness than you normally would. And like people ask me a lot, they're like, does people's drinking bother you? Like, does it make you want to drink? That doesn't bother me. It's not the drinking that bothers me. It's I wouldn't even say the obnoxiousness that goes along with it, because people aren't always obnoxious when they drink. And I'm really, to be honest with you, not that judgmental about people drinking. Like, I'm pretty, you know, like, there would be a good time to use the word tolerant. I'm pretty tolerant of it. You know, I'm like, okay, people want to have fun, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to be part of that. I don't have to be there. So I typically leave, you know, when it gets like that. But I don't like the messiness of it. I don't like the repeated stories. I don't like the slurred talk. And a lot of that is not, and I don't like, you know, somebody wanting to be your best friend because they're drunk and they happen to just, you know, fall into you at a bar, and so then all of a sudden you're their best friend. And then people find out that I don't drink, and then, or they already know that, and then they're like, oh my God, how do you do it? My sister Sheila, she's such a bad alcoholic. She ruined Thanksgiving. Oh my God, we're so worried about Sheila. And then somebody walks up and says hi, and then, you know, they're doing the eye roll like this, and it's like 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve, right? And then they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I got to see you tonight. I've been wanting to talk to you about my sister Sheila. And I'm like, oh God, I cannot go through all this again. And I'm usually like, just call me tomorrow, you know, like we'll talk about it, because I'm more than willing to help people. And this is what happens is I get real emotionally invested in Sheila, and they don't even remember the next day. And then I'll talk to that person like a week later, and I'll be like, hey, yeah, like you brought up your sister Sheila. Do you want to talk about it? Oh, that's kind of a sensitive topic. Like, I'm not really talking to people that don't know Sheila very well about. I'm like, well, you had no problem talking to me about it in a bar, you know? So like, is it something that you wanted help with, or is it something that you didn't want help with? So I kind of like keep my conversations with people that have been heavily drinking very shallow, because there's no point to like have real serious conversations, I have found. And yeah, and that's just, you know, it is what it is. But So I don't like to stay out real late. So on New Year's Eve, like Alex will be like, you want to go to another bar? And I'm like, no, let's go home. So we usually always go home by like 1 or 1:30. Like when, like, and at those parties, it's funny because like as soon as 12 o'clock hits, by 12:30, people are already, I mean, like they're half empty. Like if you've ever gone to one of those parties before, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like in clubs too, and other places, like by 12:30 or 1, people have cleared out and gone home. Because they're over it. They've been out since 8 or 9 o'clock at night, you know? It always sounds so much more fun than it is, doesn't it? Like, it always looks like it's going to be such a blast to go out. We're going to have so much fun and we're going to dance tonight and stuff. Then you get out there and it's just kind of like, nah. You know, it's just not that much fun. I think that's why... Well, last year was weird. And I talked about that last night with like PP having passed away. And they did this whole thing at the hotel that we stayed at, Unico. And I didn't want to go. Like when we checked in, they're like, go pick out your places that you want to sit, right? Because they had like, the tables were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were, that can't be. It was just 4 couples. It was me and Alex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There were 5 couples at a table. And like most of the couples that were there were by themselves, you know, they didn't come with anybody else. So this is kind of a weird story, honestly. It kind of really freaked Alex and I out a little bit. So we, you know, you sit at a table. Okay, well, we weren't gonna go. This is what happened. So when we checked in, it's like, it's this long check-in process, first of all, right? You have to pick like the candles and the scents that you want for your, it's very cool. You pick like the aromatherapy of your room, the scent that you want of the candles that they're gonna burn, and the pillowcases, and everything is aromatherapy centered. So the whole thing is built around the spa, right? It's very nice. So you pick all this kind of stuff, and then they give you this refreshing water, and it's very cool. So when we were checking in, she said, you know, like we have this huge New Year's thing that we're doing, and we're gonna do, now mind you, we were gonna cancel this trip at the last minute, so like we had no plans to do anything but just sit in the room and watch TV on New Year's Eve. And they had all of these activities planned, and one of the things was that they were doing this dinner party. It was like a white party. You're supposed to wear white to it on New Year's Eve. You could wear whatever, I guess. No, that was the one that you could wear whatever. But it was in this white tent outside. And I honestly thought it sounded kind of like cheap and any of this. I just was like, I'm not into this year. Like, we've done this every year. Like, I don't need to do some kind of like party thing like this or whatever. And I was like so sad about PP, and Alex was sad. And Alex was like, well, what if I pick us seats at the table just so that we still have seats in case we decide that we want to go, and then we can always make the decision at the last minute. And I was like, okay. He didn't want to go anymore, and I did. So New Year's Eve at sunset, there was this thing that Alex wanted to do. It was this serenity shaman meditation thing on the beach that was led by like this shaman, and it was supposed to be like leaving all of this like pain and all of like the tragedy of the year before. You're supposed to leave it like in the year before, and it was like a releasing of all this stuff, and that was the one that you wore all white to it, and it was like this serenity thing. And I didn't want to go. I was like, no, I have my own way of dealing with my pain in my life, and I'm not in a place to go do this. And Alex was like, that's fine, but I want to go. Like, this is, and you know, it's funny because Alex is not a spiritual person, you know, really. He's gotten more so, I would say, in the last year, you know, or two, but he was really, this was something he really wanted to do when he heard about it. And I thought it was just gonna be like this corny little thing on the beach. He had such a moving experience from this, you guys. Like, he sat there on the beach and talked to Pee-Pee, and I know that may sound stupid to some people, but Alex had such a moving experience, okay, at sunset on the beach in Mexico, basically saying goodbye to Pee-Pee. And he came back, and he was like, I want to go to this dinner tonight. He was like, we're here. He was like, it's New Year's Eve. I want to go to this dinner. He was like, we can be sad the rest of the week. He was like, but I think it would be good for us. And I was like, you know what? You're probably right. And I remembered back to after I had planned my mom's viewing and funeral. It was like a Friday night, and I think the viewing, I think it was like a Saturday night. And no, it was like a Friday. And the viewing was going to be Sunday. And I called Caroline, and I said, I don't know what to do with myself. And she said, what would you do any other Friday night? And I said, I would go out with my friends, because back then I went out a lot. And she said, then go out with your friends. She's like, it'd probably be good for you. And I can remember thinking that on New Year's Eve. So we got dressed nice, and we went to this New Year's Eve party. And it was, I'll never forget, we walked in, and I thought it would just be this, like, outside kind of deal, put up a tent. And it was unbelievable. I mean, it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. We walked in, it looked like a reception, an unbelievable wedding reception. It was this huge white tent. There were probably 100 tables in there. And it was 5 couples at a table, tea lights, white roses. I mean, it was gorgeous, you guys. They had a band playing. It was super classy. They later had a DJ come out and a band and play, like, all Latino music. It was all included in the price of the trip. You didn't pay anything extra for it. It was like a 6-course meal. They brought out the grapes at midnight. It just was unbelievable. Like, it was really an experience that we needed to have. And I think for us also, in realizing that, like, going forward, we wanted to have many different experiences on New Year's Eve together, you know, like, because I would get so over just going to this, you know, these same parties all the time, which, with people that I loved, but it was like, it just wasn't fun anymore, you know? And actually tonight, I really kind of loved, because I'm such just a small, kind of intimate person anyway. Like, I don't need 50 people to do stuff, so it was really nice that it was just Alex and I and Melissa and Jason, and I would have been completely fine with it just being Alex and I too, you know? I mean, I had a good time with Melissa and Jason. It was really neat. At one point in the dinner, Jason brought up, and he was, like, I don't want to get too much into what he said, but it was, he just was, like, thanking us for being their friends, and he said some very, very nice things to Alex and I, and we had this very kind of deep conversation tonight at dinner that was really, really nice, you know? And I think in life, we often don't tell our friends how much they mean to us while we have the opportunity to do that, and it just was this cool moment. So I love Jason and Melissa so much. And so anyway, while we're sitting there at this dinner table, like, we all introduced ourselves when we got there. There was, like, a couple across from us. They were both, like, in medical school or something, and they were, like, in their mid to late 20s. And I can't remember where they were from. We didn't connect with them, really. We didn't really connect with anybody else at the table, except for this one couple down by us. And it was this guy that looked like Pitbull. And of course, you know, I think Pitbull is sexy as hell. Whenever I say that, people are like, oh, what? And then his wife, and she was Colombian and he was Mexican. She was gorgeous. She spoke very, very little English. She had like this white linen pantsuit on with like no shirt underneath and this jacket that crisscrossed. I mean, she was amazing looking. And they just like really took to Alex and I. If I said that right now and Alex was here, he would bust out laughing. So we like started talking to them, and like he and Alex are like speaking in Spanish, and they're like having like, they just really connected. And you know, we're telling them about like PP and that we almost canceled the trip, and they're like sharing stories with us about a dog that they had lost, and they had, you know, one son, and they're talking about like they had been married for like this. It was like we would say, oh, well, we've been married for like 8 years at the time, because it was 9 years this year. They're like, oh my God, we've been married for 8 years, you know. And so he looked at me at one point, this guy, and he goes, let me guess. He was like, Alex really likes to go out, but you like to stay at home. Her name was, oh, I remember her name. Oh, I had to stop it again. I said her name. It really wouldn't matter because it's not like anybody's gonna know who these people are. But so anyway, he goes, let me guess. He goes, you love to stay at home and Alex loves to go out. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of more of an introvert or whatever. And oh, the other thing was, like, we started talking about Miami, and they're like, oh, we go to Miami all the time. We love Miami. She's like, I love Miami. She's like, I love the shopping in Miami. I love it. And then Alex said something about Ocean Drive. Oh, I love Ocean Drive. And then he would say something about, oh, I love that, you know, restaurant. It was like everything we would say they loved too. It was kind of weird. Anyway, so Alex and I, at some point in the night, like, looked at each other like, what's going on here? Like, this is kind of like, there's too many similarities, right? So, Alex and him are, like, standing at one point. He's, like, smoking a cigar. This guy, he's, like, in this white shirt with, like, this white, no, he had, like, a black shirt with, like, some kind of vest on, but the shirt was like unbuttoned. He was like real muscular and like bald, like Pitbull and stuff. They were a good looking couple. But like they were standing and I was talking to her. I was sitting there talking to her, and she and I were both drinking coffee at that point. She didn't drink. She didn't like to drink. And I think she had like a drink or two like at the beginning, and then she said she doesn't really like to drink. So she and I were drinking coffee. And this was like after the dessert and everything had been brought. And the rest of the table is now gone. Like everybody else is left. And it's just the four of us. And I'm like tired. I'm like, let's go. I'm ready to go back to the room. At this point, it's like 12:45. I'm like ready to go back to the room, right? It was fun. I didn't want to come anyway, but it was nice. It was nice that we did it. It was, you know, we met some people, we talked to some people. We always meet people when we're on trips because my husband is so extroverted, and then we just connect with people. So it's nice to meet people on trips and talk to them, right? So she looks over at me at one point. We're sitting there, and we're just kind of like, it's so loud in there because of like the band and stuff, the DJ at that point or whatever it was. And she looks over at me and she said, do you get jealous? Or are you jealous type? And I said, am I what? She said, are you the jealous type? And I said, I don't know what you mean. And she was like if somebody was to hit on Alex, would you get jealous? And I was like, no, not really. Like, I think it's flattering, you know? And she's like, yeah, I don't get jealous about that either. She's like, if somebody hits on my husband, I don't get jealous at all. And I was like, okay. And then like 5 minutes later, she started asking me all of these really intimate questions. And I was like, I didn't really understand where it was coming from. And I was not comfortable answering these questions to her. And it wasn't like, she didn't come right out and ask like blatant like questions, but it was kind of like, I'm trying to think of an example of what she asked to give you guys an idea without, it wasn't crass. It wasn't like that at all. She didn't ask any like crass questions. It just was like, it was a real weird turn. I mean, we were talking about like, oh, how long have you lived in Mexico? And because they lived in Mexico. It was like, how long have you lived in Mexico? Okay, oh, so this was it. So this was at the end of the conversation. We were sitting there, the four of us were sitting there. And the guy goes, at this point, I shot a look at my husband like, seriously, I hope to God that you he hadn't drank a lot. And I was like, please. So this guy looks at me and goes, I have my car outside. We have a Range Rover. He was like, why don't the 4 of us go to a club I know nearby? And I looked at Alex like, don't you dare. Don't put me in this. And so Alex is like, oh, no. He was like, we've got to go to bed, and, you know, like, we want to get a good night's sleep. Like, you know, we hadn't even planned to be here and all this kind of stuff. Oh, no. This club is so much fun. It goes till 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And she's like, oh, yeah, you should come with us. It'll be so much fun. We're going to have so much fun. We'll drive. It'll be real safe. First of all, I'm like, this guy is 3 sheets to the wind, okay? When everybody else was buying, like, or getting free champagne, he was buying bottles of better champagne. So he was like really spending money. So then the guy was like, if you don't, he was like, we can go back to our room and you guys can take my car and you can go to the club by yourself. And I was like, no. And so then he was like, or you can use my car, you know, we're going to be here for another 2 nights if you want to use our car, or we can all go to a club together tomorrow night. I'm like, no. I said, we don't really want to do any of that, you know. And Alex was like, well, we might want to. And I said, no, we're not really wanting to do any of that. Thank you. Because I'm like, we're putting an end to this right now. I had just seen that movie with Amy Schumer and what's her face, Goldie Hawn, I think it is, when they get kidnapped, you know, when they're in like Central America or something like that, at a resort, they get kidnapped. So I've got that in my head the whole time. So then she starts saying some other things, and I think Alex started cluing in. She was like, well, they kept on starting to say we should go back to their room for like some drinks. Things were starting to close up, and there was another bar there that's like a piano bar, and I go, why don't we just go over to that piano bar and we can have, like, if you guys want to have like one last glass of wine or something before we go to bed, we can do that, right? And so we start walking down the hall, okay, and they're walking behind Alex and I, and they're like whispering to each other, and I'm like, what are they whispering about? So we go down, all the way down this hallway, and the door to the bar is locked. It's like this outside patio bar. It's really nice. And so they're like, mind you, I will tell you this. If you ever want to have New Year's of your entire life, go to Unico in Mexico. I mean, it was unbelievable. And we planned to go back. So we planned to go back this year, but we canceled our trip. So Alex looks at me and he goes, like, they're like probably 20 feet behind us, and Alex goes, do you sense something weird? And I go, yeah, I've been trying to like tell you that for like the last 45 minutes. And he was like, yeah, he was asking me some really weird questions. And I go, well, what was he asking you? And he goes, he was asking me like if I get jealous of you. Like if he goes, he asked me like if somebody hits on you, or if I were to ever find out, you know, like if I had found out that you were with somebody else, would you be jealous? Or would I be jealous, or would that turn me on? I said, I think something weird is going on here. So anyway, so we get down to the hallway and the bar's closed, and they're like, let's just go back to where we were sitting. I'm like, yeah, I think we're gonna go home. It's getting real late, we're tired, you know? So Alex and I like turn around, we're like, we're just gonna go back to our room, we'll see you around the pool tomorrow, you know, whatever, on the beach. Oh, we'll walk with you. Where are you at? We're like, well, we're in this building, because there's like 4 buildings on one side and 4 buildings on the other side, or 3 buildings, I can't remember. Oh, we're in the same building. What are the chances of that, right? So we're walking ahead, and I said to Alex, I said, okay, because you like go down to a building and take an elevator. I said, if they get in the elevator and get off the same floor as us, you change it and go back to the first floor and act like we forgot what room we're in. He was like, okay, fine. So we get all the way down to this very end building. They get in the elevator with us. Oh, you sure you don't want to come to our room? I'm like, no, we're good. We don't want to come to your room. Alex is like, yeah, we're totally fine. And I'm like, this is so weird at this point. And oh, no, we could have so much fun. We could stay up, have a couple more drinks. I'm like, no, we're good. They were being really nice about it. You know, it was like, so you didn't know? So anyway, so we get in the elevator. These people get in the elevator with us, and we like pushed whatever floor we were on, and they didn't do anything. And I was like, oh my God, they're gonna get off on our same floor, and we're gonna have to like bolt for it and get in our room and close the door or something like that, right? So all of a sudden we're like going up, we're like on the 3rd floor or something, going up, and the guy reaches over and hits the 4, and I was like, oh my God, thank God. So we get out of the elevator, and Alex and I both are like bolting for our door. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom, see you guys later, bye. And we like get in our room, and we're both like, oh my God, what just happened? Alex is like, that is the weirdest thing. He was like, they were either straight up swingers that wanted to hook up with us, he said, or, and I was like, well, what do you think it is? He's like, I don't know. He was like, we were either about to get kidnapped, he said, or they were swingers. I was like, don't you ever. I said, you were like getting excited about going to that club. He goes, no, I wasn't. I would never have gone to any club with them. I said, oh my God, I think we just survived our life. So anyway, that was our exciting thing. We did see them at the pool the next day. They were both at the pool. And they were both like, when we walked by, they were like, Alex was like, hi. And they were like, hi. They like, that was it. They talked to us. So I don't know. See, that's what alcohol does to you. It makes you be friendly with people in ways that you probably don't need to be friendly with people in ways. You know what I mean? And then I remember being on the beach, and I was listening to this Christmas book. It was actually that guy that I just read, that Mistletoe Promise. I can never think of his name, but anyway, it's like the 3 names. Richard something, whatever. Now I have to look it up or it's gonna drive me crazy. Okay, hold on a second. Missile. Oh God. Mistletoe Promise. Did anybody watch the concert with Justin Bieber tonight? Oh, is it a movie? Oh my God, it is a movie. Oh my God, it's a movie, you guys. The one that I just read that I was crying my eyes out to. Richard Paul Evans. Oh my God, I'm gonna watch that. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. Okay. It's probably horrible, isn't it? Well, anyway, that wasn't the one I was reading. I don't know, the one I was reading was about this guy, and his mom died, and he went home to clean out her house, and then he like fell in love with this woman that was from that town. He was like a famous writer, and it was about finding her family or something. I can't remember. But I'm like laying on the beach, you guys, like listening to this book with my AirPods in. All I can think about is pee-pee. I'm bawling my eyes out. I look over at my husband, who's just listening to techno music, you know, and I look over at the poor guy, and it's just tears are just, Rufus Du Sol he's listening to, tears are just running down his face. And we were like that for like a couple days, you know, and I can remember at one point we were just like holding hands like in the sand, and it was honestly like, I have felt a lot of a lot of loss in my life, but you know, like when my mom passed away, I was really prepared for that. Like, she had been in the hospital for a long time. I was prepared for that. And even though like Pee-pee had been sick for a long time, I really didn't think that it was, I mean, it happened very, very quickly, you know? And I mean, he went from like okay to worse to horrible, like that, and was gone. And I mean, it literally happened that quick. And the loss was so deep. I remember I had friends of mine whose son passed away from sudden sniffing death syndrome. I used to go speak with them when I worked in treatment. And I remember after he had passed away, it was like a week after his funeral, like some friends of theirs offered them like their house in like, I don't know, it was like St. John or I don't know, Saint somewhere, one of those islands, Virgin Islands, I think, or, you know, St. Thomas or something like that. These people had a house with a pool and stuff, and they offered them their house to kind of come and just like be away. And they went, and I remember talking to her later, and she said, you know, it was just so good for us to be together, away from everything, away from everybody else, to not have to think about it, to not have to make sense of it, just to be with ourselves in our grief. And in all honesty, like, Mexico was so good for us because of that. Like, we were able to just be together, the two of us, with our grief alone, in a way that, I wish I had a Diet Coke or something, in a way that just was super therapeutic, you know? And you know what's so strange about it too is like, you know, for like a couple weeks we've been thinking about canceling the trip because we were like, well, we don't, like, if PP is really this sick, like, we need to go. And he would like go up and have 2 good days, and then, you know, it'd be like 2 not so good days. And you know, we were talking to the vet a lot, and Tanya, and all of this kind of stuff. And after he passed away, and we were just there, you know, Alex looked at me and he said, I cannot be here. He said, I cannot be here. And I said, okay. It was like almost like a God thing. And it was really a really easy decision, you know? And, it was interesting because we got some rather cruel, well, first of all, let me say, to overshadow that, the amount of love and support that we received from people was unbelievable. Unbelievable. My husband read every message, every comment that he got. I mean, it just was like, he would just sit there in bed, you know, because we would go to the pool during the day, and then we would come back, and we would be in the room for like 4 or 5 hours before we would go to dinner, and I usually took a nap. We'd go to dinner, and then we would come back. That's all we would do, is then come back and be in the room. And I was like watching all these videos about what happens to animals when they pass away, and I was watching all these vets talk about grieving and all this kind of stuff, and he was watching videos of whatever, but he was mostly reading these comments, and it helped him so much. For me, it was really healthy to disconnect from everything, but for him, I think, like, that was so good. But you know, you want to know the cruelty of the heart of some people out there. I received a couple comments from some people. I wouldn't say tons, you know, a handful, maybe 2 handfuls, but this one person was just consistent on messaging us about how convenient it was with the timing of PP's passing, and that we did it just to be able to go on this trip to Mexico, which is so sick and so ugly that anybody would ever accuse another human being of doing that, you know. And I just, like, at the time, I have to be honest, like, I didn't really understand the capacity for that kind of anger or hatred in somebody's heart, that somebody would really despise me so much that they would feel like they needed to say that to somebody in their hardest time of pain. But I do understand that today. I do, because I think that there are people out there that really despise themselves so much and feel that they are so unworthy of love inside, and that they really hate themselves. They've never experienced true love for an animal, for a human being, for themselves, for anybody. They've never understood true compassion. That the language that they speak is really negativity, misery, anger, and resentment, and ugliness. So I do understand it today. And it makes me really sad. You know, like, the reality is this. I know the truth, and I know that that's not it. I love that little dog with everything in my heart, and so did my husband. And those are comments that I think 5 years ago would have really upset my husband, and he just was like, he read the comment and he just was like, why would somebody say that? That's not very nice. He just wasn't really that affected by it, honestly. And but it was also a turning point for me in really realizing, because if you guys remember, at that point was when I was like, I'm not going to talk about a lot of things on my vlog anymore, because people were really coming for my family and my friends, and I was like, I'm going to, whatever. And then I was like, Alex and I were, had talked before that, and had already made the decision that, like, I was going to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about on my vlog. But that even, like, reinforced it for me, that I'm gonna be me, and people are gonna like it or they're not gonna like it. And those that don't like it are gonna continue to come for me and say hurtful things, because when you don't like somebody, that's what you want to do. You want them to feel pain, right? Like, I understand that. I've been that person before. But that doesn't mean that I can't have compassion in my heart. And it's taken me a year to really get to this point, but that doesn't mean that I can't have compassion in my heart. I'm a believer, like the Oprah quote, that forgiveness is accepting the past as it happened. Not that it was okay, but that it happened, and then asking yourself, now what am I going to do with it? So when I look at the past of receiving those really, really harsh, cruel comments, right? I think a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, I really allowed it to seep inside and affect me. And, but today, with the whole idea of forgiveness, like, I forgive whoever said that about me out there. I'm sure they're still watching this vlog to this day, and I forgive you. And I want only peace and serenity for your heart. I don't want anybody to hurt to the point where they would want somebody else to hurt like that, And I really, really, truly don't. That's a lot of pain to carry around on your shoulders, or on your back. I don't want anybody to feel that weight on your shoulders or back, like I said, of pain in your heart, of just being so hurt. That you would feel compelled to say that to somebody. And so I can't change that has happened, but what I can do about it today is I can offer forgiveness. I can offer understanding. I can love those people as I would want someone to love me today. I haven't always been the nicest person. I have said cruel things to people in my past. I have said hurtful things to people because I wanted them to hurt. That's the reality. I'm not proud of that at all. But for me to grow, I have to take ownership of who I have been in my past. And I have, at times, had the capability to be that. I don't want to be that today. And so, for me to be able to grow as a human being, I have to forgive those that have been that to me in my life. I don't understand it. But some valuable lessons came out of that, you know. I think another valuable lesson was you choose to see what you want to see. You know, as hundreds of comments are coming in every single second, minute about pee-pee, you know, I would think to myself, well, we were on this trip, you know, that this little guy, this little dog had such a power to impact so many people out there, you know, had such a huge impact on so many people. And so many of you were like, Peter, we love you. Please tell Alex we're thinking of him. Peter and Alex, we love you. People sent blankets and, you know, trinkets and jewelry and cards galore and messages and pictures. I mean, people were beyond gracious. And at that time, I would see those messages and they hurt, you know, because on top of missing my dog, I then had that extended pain. And I think that that was a really big turning point for me, was when I realized what I was going to really focus my attention on. And you know, I did really good in 2020 on that. I really did. But recently, I was reading this Beauty Guru Reddit thread, and somebody said over there, like, I used to love Peter Monn, but he started reading the negative comments, and it just got real negative, and so I unsubscribed to him. And I thought about that, because that was something that I had started doing, I would say, like, in the last 2 months. I wouldn't do it in every video, but I would do it every once in a while. I would read some kind of funny, you know, negative comments, and I kind of read somebody for it and whatever. But I really thought it was more like... And it was interesting because when I said this in a video after that, somebody was like, yeah, that's what we thought it was too. We thought it was snarky funny. I thought it was very kind of like Bianca Del Rio, like reading the crowd, you know, like, you know, I don't ever claim to be the greatest stand-up comedian in the world or anything, but it's kind of that, right? It's kind of like taking a really mean comment and then turning it and spinning it on somebody. It's kind of like what comedians do at times, you know? And, but maybe it didn't work for people. And so I think, you know, for me, and then this person that commented back on me and said, like, we realized it was humor. But the problem is that we watch your Peterisms channel. So we understand that you believe in these moments of growth. And I think that that's what it is like, I can't be super shady and snarky in a drama video, because then people watch my vlog or my Peterisms channel and they're like, well, how is this person that's super snarky or shady also, you know, this person that's talking about being graceful, serene, peaceful, and ever-changing? Like, those two don't fit together. And I know it's confusing to people. I know that, right? And so I really thought about it, and I thought, yeah, maybe that's not working over here. You know, maybe I'm not the one that can take the mean comments and throw them into people's faces. And that's okay. I don't need to be that. You know what I mean? Maybe that's not where my humor comes from. Maybe my humor comes from lifting people up instead of bringing people down. And you know, the reality was, when I really took a look at it, because I do listen to what people say and I am open to that constructive criticism, what I realized was, I feel better when I am making my own silly jokes on my channel and flipping a fan and talking on the drama phone than I do when I'm ripping a comment apart. I don't feel good about that. You know, I mean, really, at my core, I don't. So I know other people don't really feel great when they're doing that either. And if you say that you do, and that's how you get great enjoyment out of your life, my response to you would be, maybe evaluate your life. If you get great joy out of other people's, about affecting other people negatively, that says a lot about who you are as a person. That's a sad statement for your life. It really, really is. Okay, I gotta go in here and change the battery. And somebody is texting me. I don't know who it is. My life is getting so small. Can I just tell you that tonight at midnight, I literally had like 3 people text me Happy New Year. That was it. My dad texted me at like 7 because he goes to bed at like 8 on New Year's Eve. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Is it like cloudy? Cloudy. Cloudy with a chance of meatballs. I never did see that movie. What was I gonna say? Oh, I also filmed a rant video today that I'm going to be posting tomorrow. I was going to post it tonight, but then it got to be like 10 o'clock after, because it was like uploading while we were at dinner, and I was like, you know what, I'll just upload it tomorrow. But I thought 2020, like having learned all that, like I could just set it aside and be like, I'm not going to let any of the negativity in anymore. And as much as I would like to tell you that I thought it was that easy, and I believe that it's that easy, it's a lot of practice. It's really a lot of practice, and it's hard, you know? And it's been a year of me practicing, and I feel like 8 months of 2020 was preparation, and I feel like somewhere around August, September, I kind of got it. And which I think is when the snarky comments started coming in, but those don't work for me, so I need to just leave that. And going into 2021, I really just want to focus on the beauty and the magic of the world, and the beauty and the magic of those of you out there that enjoy watching my videos. And so what? That there are people that don't like me. There's always going to be people that don't like me, you know? That I actually did get a while ago. I got that one probably in 3rd grade, but like really got it. Like I got that this year. I was kind of like, you know what? There are going to be people that are always not going to like you. It's fine. It's just, it is what it is, you know? It doesn't really matter. They don't really stop you on your goals that you want to achieve in your life, you know? It's not like people that didn't like me stopped me from reading 100 books this year, you know? That's like the 3rd, like when I was changing the battery, well, I guess it was the 2nd one, there was a fire truck that went by. I hope everybody's okay. But it's like, the people that didn't like me didn't stop me from reading 100 books this year, you know? Now, those people that don't like me might say, he didn't read 100 books. He's a liar, you know, but I don't care. You don't live my life, you know what I mean? And I think that's a huge part of taking control back over your life, right? Is when it's like, I don't answer to you. Like, I don't answer. I have one life, okay? And I don't know how long I'm going to be here, right? So I'm very, very protective of that one life that I have. And that life is called Peter Monn. It's not called this person that doesn't like Peter Monn and comes at him every chance he gets. It's called Peter Monn. And, you know, and like, this was a really eye-opening learning experience for me. It really was. As stupid as it sounds, like it was something that I really learned this year, you know, was like, it doesn't really matter what other people think about. It really doesn't, you know? Hell, I learned that in my first month of sober. What other people think of me is none of my business. It's not, you know? Don't like me. It's okay, you know? And, and it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like, but I think the problem wasn't that other people didn't like me. The problem was I wanted people to like me so bad, you know? I think that's where the real problem was that it was like at any expense, I wanted people to like, why would people think these things about me? You know, all this kind of, not just on YouTube, but I'm talking 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, you know, when I was growing up, why would people say such mean things about me when I was growing up as a kid, you know? Like, I just want them to like me. Why won't they like me? Well, people aren't going to like you sometimes for just no good reason, right? And the reality is, there's a lot of people that do like me, and there's a lot of people that do want to be part of my life, you know? And I mean, I get messages from people every single day. I mean, these are so, I mean, you really think about it, it's beyond endearing, okay? When I receive messages from people that are like, I just know that if we met, we would be good GDs in real life. Like, you like this, I like this. You listen to this music, I listen to this music. You know, we think the same way. We would like be such great friends if we ever met in person, you know? Like, I get comments like that, you guys, all the time. For any of us out there, for any of you out there, there are so many people that really do care about you and love you. And I don't even think it's a number thing. I think it's like, for me, really it's a quality thing, you know, of the people that do love me and care about me. But it's really about perspective. It's all about how are you choosing to look at it, you know? Is Peter going to continue for the next 40 years of his life, if he should make it that far, to just wish all these people out there that don't like me would like me? I spent a lot of time doing that in my life. It hasn't really fared well or worked that well for me so far. Am I going to really try to win those people over for the rest of my life? Or am I going to say, there's a lot of people out there that really do like me, and like me for me. Like me when I am my funny, crazy self, flipping a fan or singing and dancing, and, you know, like when I'm that person, you know, that I can really just tap into who I am, or cry on camera, or talk about my mom 1,500 times if I want to, and it doesn't bore them, and, you know, or if it does, they feel comfortable enough saying, not tonight, you know, or whatever. Or am I going to be around people in my life that I just want them to like me at any expense? You know, I was in a few romantic relationships like that too, where I really changed for that person. And, you know, I talk a lot about this guy that I dated when I got out of treatment. He really screwed with my head a lot. What was really sad about it was that the guy that I dated before I went into treatment, I wasn't dating him when I went into treatment, but before, he really screwed with my head too, because he was constantly, I thought, screwing around with other people, which I found out later he was, and flirting with other people, always saying hurtful things about my body image and my weight when I was super thin. I was super thin at that point. I weighed about 150. And he would call me bottom heavy and stuff. And it really screwed with my head. And I look back at him, and it was just like, he really was not a person of character or value at that time. I don't know. Where did my lip gloss go? I don't know anything much about where he's at today. I mean, I know kind of where he's at, but I don't really know what's going on with his life. I don't honestly know where he's at. I looked him up on Facebook not too long ago, and he wasn't on Facebook anymore. So, that was probably a couple months, well, 2 months ago maybe. I looked him up on Facebook. I couldn't find him. So, and we have never been friends on Facebook, and I haven't talked to him but maybe once since I got sober. He was not a good person in my life. He was not a good person for my life. Let's just put it that way. So then I get out of treatment, and I fall madly in love with this person that was adorable and nice and had a fantastic job and education and came from a good family and treated me well. And, you know, I smoked, like, heavily at that time. You know, I was early in sobriety, not that that's an excuse, but I smoked heavily. He hated it. I would go, like, an entire weekend. I mean, you want to talk about going through, like, withdrawal cravings. I would go through an entire weekend without smoking around him. And then literally as soon as he would, like, leave, I would light a cigarette, like, that quick. Or I can remember, like, he lived in Illinois, and I would drive, like, the 3 hours to get there. I'd, like, you know, borrow a car and, like, drive there 3 hours. And the whole way there, I wouldn't smoke a cigarette. You know, that whole day I would take a shower and I would put on cologne and do all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of police and fire trucks and stuff out. The whole way there, I wouldn't smoke a cigarette or anything because I knew that he wasn't going to like me smelling like smoke. Well, he was confused. Why keeps on texting me? He was in the process of coming out. I didn't necessarily realize that at the time. He is out fully now, and has been for a really long time. But he was, at the time that he was seeing me, also kind of talking to this girl and that he worked with. And she, like, he wasn't really, well, the way he explained it to me later was he wasn't really interested in her, but he wasn't sure that he was ready to come out yet, which I totally understand. And I've never been somebody for, like, pushing somebody out, like they should come, like, out when they're ready to, right? But he never explained that to me. He never, like, gave me the option. Like, I've always been a believer that, like, give me all of the information and then let me make the decision. Like, I have the right to that, right? Like, give somebody the right to know what's going on with their life and then let them make the decision, especially if it involves their life, you know? If you're cheating on somebody, or if you have certain emotional feelings about something or whatever, the other person that is involved in that, allow them to have those pieces too, and then make the decision on what they want to do. Maybe they don't want to be part of that relationship anymore. You know, I might have said, hey, I think it's great that you need to date this gal that you're working with, and you know what, I don't know what's going to happen with it, and maybe you'll be with her, maybe you'll be with a guy, maybe you'll come out, I don't know, right? Maybe you're bisexual, who knows? But, like, you need to figure that out, and I don't need to be part of that, but I wish you all the best. And that's honestly probably what I would have said. But no, he wanted to keep it a secret from me. Well, it was messy. It got real messy at one point. And I'm in early sobriety, and this is screwing with my head. And I was like, he sat on some, like, board with her. I can remember this, because I found out while I was there. What was that? Did you guys hear that? That scared the bejesus out of me. There was literally, like, there's a car behind me, but it's, like, so far behind me, it can't be, like, somebody that was, like, honking. Oh, that freaked me out, God. But anyway, I found out, like, when I was there, and I mean to tell you, like, I mean, I wasn't very sober. I was within my first 60 days sober, okay? Well, I mean, it was probably longer than that because I had gotten out of treatment, but I mean, it was my first 60 days out of treatment. And I looked at him, and I mean, I thought that this guy was going to change my life. I thought he was going to be my life. And I looked at him, and I threatened him. I want to see if this car pulls up next to me, what they say or what they do. Because I'm like, were they honking at me? Were you honking at me? Nope, you wouldn't even pull up next to me. I was like, can you imagine this? 22-year-old Peter. I mean, this guy wasn't that much older than me. I think I was 22 and he was like 26, 27. But I was like, I'm going to show up at that board meeting and I'm going to tell her who I am. Oh, I wasn't very sober yet, was I? I sure wasn't. I was going to tell this gal all about herself is what I was going to do. But I'll never forget, I got in that car and I turned on Bob Dylan as bright or as loud as I possibly could, and I lit a cigarette like nobody's business, and I was driving down the FM and all this kind of stuff. And I vowed I was never gonna change for a guy again. But you know, we tell ourselves that, right? We tell ourselves that. But, you know, you don't think you're changing for somebody. You think you're changing for yourself to be a better version of yourself. What did my sponsor say to me the other day? She's so funny. She's dating this guy and she really likes him. And I said something to her and she said, today I was talking to her. And I said something and she said, oh, how did she say it? It was so funny. She goes, you know, I'm not trying to remake this man or something like that. She was like, you know, he is who he is or something like that. And it just cracked me up how she said it. You know, she was like, and it's the truth. It's like, listen, be you, be too much, be all of you, be way too much, okay? Whatever that means. To you, it might be a whistle. To me, it might be a scream, okay? You know, my being too much today might be, you know, me being the loudest version of myself I possibly can be, but maybe you're not there yet. Maybe that's a whisper for you, okay? And And mine may never be a scream, you know? Mine may be being too much, maybe more of an internal feeling that I have inside of how I feel about myself and my life, and, you know, just standing up for my beliefs and my philosophies and who I am and things like that. And knowing when to pick my battles, and knowing when to not feel like I need to get into it or stand up for those things as well, you know? And that's been a big part of me learning of being too much too, is when my being too much sometimes isn't what I need to be doing, you know what I mean? You learn about yourself as you grow. And maybe yours is more of a whisper, you know? Maybe your being too much is more of a quiet inner voice. It's like that book Beautiful that I was reading when I was talking about that silent voice that we have inside of our heads, you know, that tells us good things about ourselves. But one thing I have learned is that when we talk about this word authentic, you know, it gets thrown around so much. Authentic is really when your actions meet your soul. So who you are on the outside is really who you are on the inside. So if you're feeling moved out of joy to cry, you cry. You don't think, I shouldn't cry first, people will think something strange of me. That's not authentic. If you're feeling inside like so moved by excitement or joy that you want to cry, or you want to shout, or you want to scream or clap real loud, right? And not think, wow, people are going to think I'm strange, or I shouldn't do this, or like, that's being authentic. You know, being authentic is loving the color purple and wearing it every day from head to toe because you love it. And you don't give a rat's ass what somebody else thinks about it, okay? You do it because you love it. You do it because it speaks to you. That is being authentic. That is being genuine. We throw this word being authentic around all the time, and I think people really don't understand what that word means. It's really when your soul matches your actions, that your soul speaks to you and says, like, this is what's going on, and, you know, this is who you are. And that's really what being too much is about. It's about really connecting with that finally and saying, you know what, I'm going to be myself because I love myself. And I am just, and I know this sounds like that one of that what's his name, Philip Smalley or whatever his name is, guy that used to be on, you know, Saturday Night Live. I know it sounds like that, but it's true. It's like, and I'm good enough, and I'm lovable, and it is, but it's so true. I know it sounds corny and cheesy, but it's the truth, right? When you can finally say, I know that about myself. I'm worth that. I'm good enough just how I am today. And I don't have to, you know, Janis Joplin said, never compromise yourself. You're all you've got. Never compromise yourself. You're all you've got. Be too much. And I have learned this way too late in life. When my soul connects with my actions, when I allow myself to be my most authentic self, by that what I mean is listening to what is in here, what is in there, and living that as my truth, and not compromising myself, people like me the most, or the right people like me the most, you know? Because people are like, wow, I really like this Peter. Because there's only one of me. There's only one of you out there. Okay, there's not 100 different variations. There's only one of you, and there's only one of me. So why not be that, you know? Never compromise yourself. You're all you've got. So, in 2021, this is what we're going to do. You're going to ask yourself, who am I inside? What are those things? Okay, maybe every day to work, I wear a black skirt and a white blouse and black jacket, and I think that's the right way to look, but I've wanted to wear color for so damn long because I love green and red and purple and yellow. That's being authentic. You're gonna start wearing some more colors in your outfit and match it up a little bit, right? Maybe you don't dance in the kitchen to music because you're afraid your kids are gonna laugh at you or they won't like it. You're gonna start dancing in the kitchen. You're gonna start watching the movies that make you happy, you know? One of the things I love about Tanya's husband, Eric, is that he loves to watch these like Lifetime romantic movies. I think it's hilarious because he's so in tune. He doesn't care. He's like, this is what makes me, he can equally just watch a thriller, you know? But that's what makes him happy. So that's what he watches. That's what he does, you know? I love that. And we're going to connect to what really, really makes us happy in 2021 inside our hearts and our souls. And that's who we're going to be. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this now. I wish you all, I don't even know how long this is at this point. I wish you all the best on your journey into 2021. It's going to be the best year ever. I can feel it. I can really feel it inside. It's going to be a renaissance of sorts, I think, this year. I think we're going to have a great year in 2021, and I'm very, very excited about it. And I'm very excited about bringing you guys along with me on my journey, and I can't wait to see your journey as well. And I love you guys very, very much. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy 2021. And goodbye to 2020. And I love you guys so much. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your 2020. And thank you for allowing me to be part of your 2021 start. And I love you so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.